What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about what happened with Nintendo today. I know I'm like 12 hours late. I did see it right away, but late to reacting. It's been nuts. As if the last 24, 48 hours wasn't enough, right? Like, Nintendo has had the ultimate arc this week, and, that's a big part of what I want to kind of talk about, that sadly, and Nintendo does face the bulk of it, but they also kind of have to go first, right? So what we're here to talk about is this tariff business, is the delaying of the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders in the U.S. The thing is, a lot of these things, actually everything we're about to talk about, really affects the U.S. and the U.S. only. Everybody's kind of got their own problems, and I always bring up like Australia as something that viewers of mine, and you can really just go on the internet and kind of see there's certain areas of the world that get screwed over with pricing like all the time, right? Maybe it's time that the U.S. joins in on that, or at least it feels like it's gonna be. Just want to throw that out there, just let that be known that, it's only affecting certain people. The largest demographic of people that watch my videos are U.S. viewers, so I do think it's timely and it makes a lot of sense. And again, Nintendo is a big part of this because they delay their pre-order. So as of now, the thing still comes out the same day, June 5th. Pre-orders across the world, they're still happening as we speak, or they're about to, but the pre-orders have been delayed till an indefinite time. Right now, what I was saying in live streams actually earlier today, you can only hold off on this so much, right? And that's the scary thing, is there's a lot of uncertainty. Like, there's the moment we live in, like the cold hard facts that we're dealing with. And the cold hard facts is not just Nintendo, but so much of the gaming industry is screwed if everything stays exactly as it is today, right, with these tariffs. Now, depending on how optimistic you are, is it possible that these things get resolved? Well, I hope and pray that these things, because honestly, we're talking about gaming. Gaming is obviously the thing I talk about on the channel. These are things to affect real people, including ourselves, and also just real things in our lives. Gaming is something that is a want, not a need, and these things can have, huge effects to things that we actually need as well. So, I wish the best for everybody. I want everybody to live. I want everybody to have a good life. And you know what? The things that are the wants, the things that are not things that we absolutely need in our life, I want those things to not be $1,000 as well. So I would like these things to come down. Bottom line is this: prices might be going up, and they might be going up big time, right? I mean, just the tariff on the Switch alone, if everything stays the same, you could be looking at 50 to 100. I know a lot of people are actually just saying 100. I'd like to hope for the best in people and hope that Nintendo would maybe just want to take an L in terms of revenue loss and say, all right, we'll do 50. But I mean, just 50, right? Just imagine that 50 is already too much. Already, the thing is 450 and 500 with the Mario Kart bundle, right? You move that up and you do 500 and then 550 for the bundle. You're asking too much, factually. Now, I guess maybe in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look as bad because everything else is going to move up. See, Nintendo's a big part of this. Again, Nintendo gets the unfortunate, they're in the unfortunate situation that they have to deal with this right away. They cannot wait for, these things to potentially play out. But PlayStation gets affected by this. You have the consoles, actual consoles. They're going to probably go up in terms of price. PlayStation, Xbox, PC parts is a huge thing. Many people are afraid of, right? Because so many of these parts come from overseas. So you want to mortgage your house, you'll be able to get a PC. PlayStations, Xboxes, physical games very well might go up as well. These are scary things. These are bad things, right? But, here's the thing. Some of this stuff I feel like, okay, they can maybe just take the hit, or maybe they're hoping for some sort of rebound. When it comes to the Switch 2, as I was saying earlier, they don't really have time. Again, optimistically, if you want to, think optimistically, if this is part of some 4D chess move, and there has been I've tried to look, okay, what are the implications right now? And they're all bad, right? There is no good implication right now in terms of how we're going to get game prices down because of these tariffs. They're all going up. The one glimmer of hope could be that, countries are already reaching out to the U.S. and saying, all right, look, we'll cut our tariffs if you cut your tariffs. I pray to God those are not lies. I pray to God that those are true, because if that's the case, okay, well then whatever. They drop their tariffs, we drop ours, and we literally pretend like a day like today never happened. The issue is this, okay, no matter how and because you can think like that, I don't care. That's an optimistic way of thinking, and maybe that ends up happening. The issue, right? Honestly, the statistical issue, there's not really time for Nintendo. There's not really time. these things can take a couple months. These things could take years. Maybe it's better for America in the future. Maybe it's worse for America in the future. But, many people live in the now, including myself. I try to live in the now. We all have bills to pay and stuff like that. That's the real life side. But what about consoles and games right now? Well, this affects Nintendo, I think, more than anybody, right? Probably PC as well. People are always buying PCs, building PCs. The PlayStation, Xbox thing, if they go up in price, that's a pretty big deal, but it's not a new console coming out, in a month or two. And that's the big problem with the Switch, too, right? They don't have time for this potential 4D chess move to play out to say, okay, again, maybe it works out for everybody. Maybe everybody gets lower prices. Or maybe at least they just go back to what they were 24 hours ago. The issue is the Switch 2 comes out in 2 months, and they're delaying the pre-orders, and it's like, well, what are they going to do, right? Do they raise the prices $50, and then what if something goes right? So it's Vietnam specifically. The issue here is that 46 or 48, it's one of those two numbers, percent tariff on Vietnam products, and that's where the Switch 2 is largely coming from. So, okay, Vietnam comes to Donald Trump, and they say, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. That's all good and fine, right? But if that takes a month, well, Nintendo says, okay, well, we're going to raise the prices by 50. Do they drop the prices a month later? Can you imagine? Have we ever had that? A console and a publisher that says, okay, 2 months before it comes out, it's $450. Okay, a week later, it's $500. A month, and then they do pre-orders. And then a month after that, right before the system comes out, they say, you know what? The tariff thing has resolved itself. It's $450. And by the way, that's thinking the most optimistically. What if this stuff doesn't get solved until August or September? Okay, the first 5-ish months, the pre-orders leading into the system coming out, it's $500. Then 3 months after the system is out, now it's back down to $450. Do you know how angry people that get the console day one are going to be? And rightfully so. You need people to get the system day one. I know people are going to say, just don't buy it. And that, that is factually true, right? If you don't want to do it, if you're uncomfortable spending that amount of money, don't buy it. The issue is these tech companies or just these console manufacturers, don't they need day one purchases, right? So, factually, there are going to be human beings that get this thing, and they can be getting it for literally more money for it to just go to. It's almost like, when an Assassin's Creed game comes out and it's full price and then 2 months later it's half off. That kind of has just become a thing, and it's almost a you problem if you buy but I mean, that's kind of the thing right there, right? You buy AC day one, 2 months later it's half off. Who gets mad and who do you get mad at, right? Is that person mad? Because then it's well, you bought it. You could have just waited 2 months, and you also know that this stuff happens. The thing with systems is it doesn't happen. That's, I guess, the one major difference, right? Systems don't fluctuate, and they don't go on sale for 70% off 2-3 months after the thing comes out because they're not selling their game or whatever. Some video games legitimately do that. Systems can't do that. So bottom line, I mean, I'm ranting. I'm just going kind of crazy in this video. Bottom line is this is a very messed up situation. This is a situation that, like I said, everybody gets impacted. These publishers, these companies, us, okay? Both sides. And while some of them might be able to battle through it, and it's hey, 2-3 years from now, when the Xbox and PlayStation come out, this stuff might very well be over, right? It's going to be very different, or you imagine it's going to be very different then versus now. They don't have to, again, yes, they have to deal with the consoles that are out right now, and that definitely can impact. I'm not trying to make light of it or say it's absolutely nothing, but this is I feel bad. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. Nintendo has done some bad stuff. Also, I'd like to point out that there was a lot of speculation that Nintendo priced it at $450 specifically because they could have known that tariffs were coming. That was a theory. It was never, I don't think, a rumor, but it was speculated strongly, maybe that is fact. I think we can take that off the table, because if they priced it as if they knew tariffs were coming, they would not do any of this, right? Clearly, they priced it, then they saw these tariffs and said, okay, we're going to lose now 50, 80, 90, 110, whatever the number is, right? Because normally these console manufacturers, they only make like 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks per console, and they fluctuate between console generations. Sometimes they lose money. Back in the day, they would lose money, right? And more recently, they make like 20, 30 bucks. But Nintendo, okay, they were gonna make 20 or 30. Now they're gonna lose like 70 or 80. They can't do that. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, that I think we can put that theory to bed. They priced it at $450 because they priced it at $450. That had nothing to do with tariffs, because now that this is happening, they're taking it back and saying, okay, we're probably going to raise those prices up. So I don't know. Again, it only affects the U.S. That's a significant amount of people. It's a significant amount of people that watch me, and it's also myself. I'm a selfish individual. This is my channel. I get to talk about what I want. This is going to impact me. You know what I mean? It's a tough situation. I hope for better days. I hope things get resolved, but like I keep saying over and over and over, that's the tough thing. Like, how long do resolutions take? How long does it take for everything to resolve? Say just tariffs to drop out, right? Whatever politically needs to happen for this stuff to kind of be just done with. How long does that take? And then can Nintendo wait that out? And the answer is the first one probably can range between like tomorrow, if like everything works perfectly, or like 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now, because things just take a long time. So that's the range. Can Nintendo wait that out? The answer is also probably not, because the thing comes out 2 months tomorrow. So it's like, and you have to do pre-orders. You can't just have it come out. So it's like you have to charge people a certain price for it, and you've got to do that within April. Sometime in April, pre-orders have to go live, right? Maybe the first week in May, and man, they better have the greatest like background networking we've ever seen in our lives, right? Because it's probably a lot of work to get those pre-orders in and just have all the logistics figured out. They probably need at least a month. If not, most likely they need like a month and a half plus. They're probably not going to do that. And then it's like, well, they can't wait any more than that. So again, even if things get resolved, is there going to be some people that have to buy it, or they're going to have to sell it at a certain price, and then like a month or two later they'll have to drop it? Like, and some of the stuff, by the way, I just don't know. I'm kind of just speculating here, but like that seems very messed up. And again, Nintendo is primarily, the rest of them, like they'll go up and they'll have to deal with it, we'll have to deal with it, and then hopefully eventually they'll go down. With the Switch 2, it's like this is a brand new thing. This isn't a thing that's been out for like 5 years that you could have got it 2 years ago. This is a thing that comes out in 2 months, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.